I generally don't make content trying to change people's minds on religion. But if someone wants to learn about my beliefs, I will share. And that's what this video is about. I have an atheist friend who asked me this question: what would make me leave Christianity? And I thought our ensuing discussion might be interesting for others. Now, the point of this video is not to prove atheism wrong. Please do not take this as me pushing an agenda or inviting an argument. If you think you're likely to be offended or argue at me simply sharing some core tenets of Christianity, then you feel free to click away right now. I'm serious. Peaceful coexistence is far more important to me than just getting one more view on social media. Still here? All right. So this atheist asked me, what would make me stop believing in Christianity? And he didn't believe I had an answer. He said that my religion was carefully designed to be non-falsifiable, whereas his beliefs were easily falsifiable if God came down and performed miracles for him. Yeah, just like the Pharisees in Matthew 12:38. Now, in science, we should be skeptical of ideas that are non-falsifiable because that means they're not science. So he was trying to position the alleged non-falsifiability of my views as evidence that they're not rational. Did you catch that? Not science, therefore not rational. In my experience, these conversations never lead anywhere unless we look at the underlying assumptions. So I'm constantly bringing up epistemology. And my friend's question shows the classic atheistic error of epistemology, conflating science with rationality. This mindset treats natural science as the holy standard, the ultimate rubric against which we must measure and evaluate all the other fields of knowledge, the overriding blueprint for all rational thought. If we contrast this with what a correct epistemology should be for worldview questions like, does God exist and what is he like? Then the argument becomes ridiculous. It works like this. First, we have to define falsifiable, which means we have to ask according to what rules. Obviously, my friend wants to use the rules of physical science, observing something with our own eyes. You see, each field of knowledge has its own rules and therefore its own definition of falsifiable. And basically, he's trying to use the wrong one. And the issue runs deeper than that, because the reason he's doing that is not just that he thinks it's better than the others, but that he actually thinks topics like theology inherently cannot have their own consistent rules apart from science. I was about to show him how very, very wrong that is. So when he asked me what would falsify my religion, my answer was this: if God showed some change or contradiction of character. And it took me like 10 seconds to think of some very clear examples. Example 1, if God came down from heaven and showed some ugliness or abuse toward me, like if he blamed me for something I didn't do, or if he accused me of having some bad intention that I didn't have. This would be like if he was a human who didn't know my true thoughts, or if he was a malicious being who was trying to gaslight me. That's example 1. Example 2 was if he came down and promised something and then later changed his mind and said that wasn't really going to happen after all. That's example 2. So when I said this, at first my atheist friend actually didn't believe me. He said, oh no, that wouldn't cause you to let go of your faith. If God did that, he said, my religion would just morph and adapt, because I would say God was testing me like Abraham, and he works in mysterious ways. At that point, I insisted, no, I am 100% confident that my God would never, ever do that. This is part of his basic defining character. If he violated that, he would not be the same God. he would be so unrecognizable that it would require renegotiating my faith and religion basically from scratch. Then my atheist friend pivoted to saying that my faith was weak. He actually started to seem kind of worried for me, which made me think there was a much, much deeper confusion here on the nature of Christian faith. And that's when I started thinking, maybe I should make a video, just in case there are any of you out here in the world who might have a similar confusion. You see, my faith is not just in some collection of statements or ideas that we call Christianity. My faith is in a person, and that person has an identity with specific defining traits. Those traits are not open to change or reinterpretation. God is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness. That's from Exodus 34. This character is reflected in his son Jesus. This is so utterly foundational to Christianity that my atheist friend's concern should have been exactly the opposite. When I show unshakable confidence in God's goodness and what that means, that's me showing strong faith, not weak faith. Faith is the certainty of things hoped for. If a Christian believer did not have that confidence, then I would be concerned for their faith. Look at it this way. I wake up every morning and see my wife next to me. I know it's her and no one else for so many parallel reasons that listing them would be dizzying. Not just that's where she was the night before, and not just that I know the features of her face and the form and patterns of her voice. Yeah, a block of wood can also have unique physical traits. But with human beings, there is much more, and it starts with behavior. I met my wife online in a Discord server, where our first interactions were through nothing but written words. There is so much that you can learn about a person just from talking to them. You learn how they react to and think about different things, what matters to them, and eventually, piece by piece, what almost the whole world is like from their point of view. You can begin to recognize and predict their behavior. It becomes yet another set of identifying traits, one which naturalistic materialists must explain by hypothesizing about emergence. And yeah, of course you can have moments of mistaken identity, even with people you know very well. But appealing to exceptions does not disprove the rule. So to us, God may not have facial features or an audible voice, but he is still a person with a unique personality. He does still have thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that serve as identifying traits that define him. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." Paul wrote, "I am not ashamed, for I know him whom I have believed." Of course, no human being knows everything about God, but you and I absolutely can know certain basic facts, according to the Christian Bible, on who God is and who he absolutely is not. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.